Good evening and welcome to the program. Although the software doesn't let us put the title of the show on anymore, we apologize. But I am the same Buddy Martin. Glad to be back with you after a terrific week from all you folks. Really coming on strong here on this program, and we appreciate your interest and your following. And tonight on the program, it's Welcome to the Swamp Lane. Think about it. Only a couple of months ago, people thought he'd be coming back here to coach the Gators. Now he comes in hoping to get a berth in the playoffs and keep it because these Gators, although 10.5 point underdogs, are tough to deal with, and he says so in his statement this week. My column posted now on GatorBait. Coming up in the program, we got some good folks for you tonight. It's time for Ben Troupe. He'll join shortly. We'll get his take on things. He's always on top of it. Wonder what he thinks about this whole playoff picture. I thought it was simple. I'm getting more confused by the day. Then Carlton Reese, a terrific columnist and writer, will join us tonight to talk about some Florida coaches. One former Florida coach who is down goes Frazier. We'll talk about that tonight. And then Loren Meadows will join us later on to talk about what's going on here in his assessment of the game. Our condolences again to Franz the loss of his stepfather, Don Reynolds, this past week. RIP to him. And we may not hear from Franz, but we're here. We invite you to join and tell your friends and neighbors the Buddy Martin Show. Well, it's about to be on the air. If I can find it. There it is.
Buddy Martin, call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Good evening and welcome back to the program here on this beautiful location in the heart of Ocala, Florida. Thanks to our friends at Blue Heron. We're in the bed and breakfast, or Airbnb, I should say. We've been staying all week long, have enjoyed it. You see the beautiful surroundings behind me. Not in my normal studio. Be back there on the 2nd of December. On tonight's program, can it possibly be week 14? I can't even count these weeks. I just know this is the 10th. This is the 11th game. So they had, 2 open days? So week 13? I don't know. I just know there's 2 more games to play. And one of them, a very, very big one. Kind of got mixed emotions about this game, and not so much emotions as I have trying to figure it out. This is a very difficult team to play. Had a column tonight on the guy who would be the head coach of the Gators has really been fired, probably Lane Kiffin. He comes to town as the conqueror. He comes to town needing to win this game to stay alive and not real happy about having to play in the SEC championship. Did we ever think we'd hear that? Not real happy to be playing in the SEC championship. Why? Well, I guess he figures that's competitive disadvantage. I don't know. It seems to me it's an honor to play in the SEC championship. A game, no matter what. I bet this guy thinks that. Let's go see what Ben Troupe has to say about that. Good evening to you there, Mr. Troupe. How you doing?
It's always good to be on with you, buddy. And I just want to send my condolences to Franz as well. I saw that his stepfather did die. I saw all those great words said about being a Marine and different things. So my hearts and prayers definitely go out to Franz Beard tonight. And isn't it ironic though, buddy? Lane Kiffin has never been in this situation as a head coach in the SEC. Not with Tennessee, his first time around. Now he's planning to go to Atlanta but because of postseason ramifications, he thinks it's a competitive disadvantage because he knows there are going to be some teams that make it to the college football playoff that don't. Basically, what he's saying is, I don't want to do all I do to make it to the SEC championship, lose, or don't make it in. That's what he's really saying. Because I think that he don't feel as though his team is going to beat whatever team he has to play. But I want to speak to the fans real fast. Buddy, before the season started, we talked about a 7-5 record, potentially 8-4, just depending on what happens. LSU, man, that was a great game, especially by the defense. But now, you see how fast things switch up? All of a sudden, it's, man, if Florida wins on Saturday, they beat Florida State, they got a shot to go 8-5. We kept saying we going to have to – I don't like to use the word steal a game because steal a game sounds like we don't meet the competitive – we don't meet the competitive threshold or talent threshold to go out there and beat these teams. LSU met the talent barometer. We just had a better night. You know who didn't like the fact that Florida won was Ole Miss, but they're like, dude. And Lane Kiffin said it. He goes, if it's anything how Florida used to be, it's going to be hard to win in that place. But if it's like it, and he knows, because Lane Kiffin knows no matter what, if he don't win the game on Saturday, which I know we'll get to, people are going to be looking at him like, wait a minute, man, you let a 5-5.
Yeah.
Florida is 5-5. We are what our record says we are right now. I get it. But the way Florida has been playing, we said this, buddy. Florida looked real bad. I want to say 3 games this year. First game of the year, look bad. Texas A&M, we look bad. Against Texas, we look bad. Every other game, we were competitive or won the game. Every other game. And I think what you saw on Saturday night, buddy, is what you kept saying. You kept saying this, the DJ Lagway effect, not just on the offense, on the whole team. It just, because I keep saying this, if I know that my quarterback is better than yours, look how the defense played. Look at how the offense, and it's not, Elijah Badger, if you are listening, sir, you got 1 more year eligibility. You got to college in 2020. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying he's electric. But I'm just ecstatic for the fact that we kept. I get accused of being, you too, buddy. You get accused of being a cheerleader. I get accused of being a cheerleader.
Sunshine pumper. You and me and Allie, we're all sunshine pumpers. You know.
We never listen. We never have nothing negative to say. We go in the bat for Billy. No, we understand that culture takes a while. I see the recruiting trail is starting to look real favorable to Florida. I'm seeing, a lot of people saying great things, but I'm just happy at the fact that Florida is playing. Florida still hasn't played its best game, but they're playing better, and they've been playing much better. I just hope that they keep up this momentum. I was really, really happy for them on Saturday night, because I think sometimes, buddy, you start saying, man, DJ Lagway coming off an injury. How is he going to look? How's the offense going to look? How's the defense?
It's just a ploy, just saying that because he wanted people to think he was going to play. We didn't know for sure until he got on the field he was going to play. And not to get too bogged down and interrupt you on it, but I've said this, I'm going to stand by it. I've been wrong before many times on many things. But the one thing I said was, if he plays, they got a chance to win, and I picked them if they did. What an ability he's got to lead other people, not just his own players. The defense played better. Everything played better. He's one of those guys, it gives you that cliche, the rising tide raises all ships. Now, we've gone over a number of times how he looked, the throws he made, talked about it ad nauseum, but it's something special to see. And now we are saying, I'm going to go to the Swamp Saturday at noon. I'm going to see this guy play. I'll tell my grandchildren about this guy because he's going to be a great one. And he has really done that. And, of course, let's not forget my man, Mr. Ball. Here's the guy, Jaden Ball, 6'1.5", 235, outrunning the secondary of LSU.
It was impressive, buddy. It goes back to the spring game with Ball. It goes back to the spring game with DJ Lagway. When people say, what's the hardest thing to do in the SEC? I always say the same things. become a role player and star in that role. Because become a role player, that means, I've earned the respect I've earned the respect of my teammates and trust of my head coach, but I want to star in that role. And I think the thing about what Florida is doing now is, and buddy, you know this, the most unselfish player, the two most unselfish players to me on Florida is Graham Mertz and Montreal Johnson. Montreal, who is a senior, understands momentum. Right, and we kept saying how the most talented room at Florida is that running back room. We said it. They are top. They are super duper talented. But you know how hard it is for any player that's bided their time and never ever did all the things right. Montreal, I understand, man. I'm gonna got to share rep. This ball kid is phenomenal with what he's able to do. And the thing about ball, he don't need a lot of opportunities to make the most of them. Most guys, you give me 25 carries, I can get you a good game. No, he's like, listen, man, whenever y'all need me, I'm a bust one. And it seems like he's doing that every game now. Even in a losing effort, he'll be a bright spot, which showing that he's definitely ready. And then you can't coach 6'1", 230. I mean, them DBs are turning that stuff down. They was I don't want no. Now, him running away from those DBs, man, was impressive. But I just think that when you look at this team as a whole and what they're able to do, Florida plays like that on defense, man. We gonna be hard to deal with. And
that was a surprise. That really didn't get.
It was incredible. That
talk about guys out there that I see. Miles Graham was
he was
the best game of anybody in the country, and his score linebacker. The guys they got over there on defense, Triquezy, the guy's been really amazing. They got guys showing up to play and making plays. And I got to tell you, that's where the improvement's been. I don't know if this defense can do this again. Probably not, because LSU is not as good as Ole Miss. But they got some guys who could tackle, cover, and no play. And hey, 7 sacks. 7 sacks.
Yes.
They couldn't put no pressure on the quarterback. LSU give up 6 sacks all year, 7 sacks. Now, I'm not going to sit here and get all geeked up on Kool-Aid and talk about Florida winning another 5 in a row. But they conceivably could be, at the end of the season, not just bowl eligible, but 7-5 as a coach of the year kind of deal if they could beat Ole Miss. I don't think they're going to beat Ole Miss, but I could be wrong. If this team – I just don't – I mean, that's my honest opinion. But I'll say it like it is. Now, I'll say one thing. The injury report came out today and looked pretty good. The usual guys are on it, but a couple of them are off, especially Montreal. I think one guy is questionable, Kearney, and they look like they're kind of healthy. The Swamp's going to be live and electric. Day games noon games are not as good as 3:30 games, so that kind of thing.
They're not.
But man, here's the quote from Lane right now about what he saw, because obviously they had an open date. He was watching that game, and he raved. I love this picture, by the way. Can you see this picture? This is Lane. It's Lane with his daddy Monty on the horse in a parade. Love that picture. I love the picture. But his quote was, he says, "I'm telling you, this is a big challenge, man." Now, Lane does a little hype, but doesn't do too much of it. He said, what were they, 4-5 or something last week? Florida. And the crowd was electric. It looked like the conference championship was on the line. So you've got a place. They play really well at home. And that's not – it sounds like hype. It's not.
It's not. I believe Lane Kiffin I believe when Lane Kiffin was first time he was in the SEC, he was trying to make headlines because he wanted everybody to be talking about him instead of Tennessee as a team, because he knew it was going to be an uphill battle. I think the second time around, he's gained a different level of respect for the SEC because he knows Florida proved last week the records don't matter. What a team was on tape is not what a team going to be when they show up to play you. What Florida showed him was, look, man, that this defense is dangerous. Like, listen, taking the ball away, getting sacks. Sack fumbles. George Guns was all over the freaking Tyreek sapping those boys. Like, I mean,
phenomenal.
I mean, they were. And listen, and we had 7 sacks, and we missed some sacks. We could have had 8, 9, 10 of them.
Yeah.
But buddy, I think what Lane Kiffin is telling, Ole Miss faithful is, listen, don't let their record fool you. We get so caught up in the records, these undefeated, these one loss teams, 2 loss teams. I'm gonna keep saying this. We respect. Listen, every loss we had, Miami ran us off the field. Texas ran us off the field. Texas A&M ran us off the field. Tennessee didn't. Georgia definitely didn't. That's with a 3rd string quarterback. And I think, buddy, everybody we've lost to are quality teams. Miami only has 1 loss. Texas A&M is a much better team since Jimbo Fisher left. Georgia still got a shot to be, still got a shot to go to the SEC championship game, depending on what happens or whatever. When you start talking about Tennessee, yeah, they lost to Georgia on Saturday. And obviously, we just had a letdown against Texas. But I just think that when you talk about Florida right now, we kept saying this. We kept saying we got to see improvement. Got to see improvement. Buddy, we've seen that. Now, improvement don't mean you're gonna win the game. Now, let's put that out there. Yeah. Texas was a beatdown. Nothing good happened that game.
Well, nothing. The QB situation was not good.
But buddy, I'm gonna say this. This LSU was, they were shocked about what happened because they were like, they were shocked that they lost to Florida, not because of the record, but because of the previous years. We haven't beat them in a while. Haven't beat them since 2018.
They own them Gators, man. What are you talking about? 5 wins in a row. They had them right where they wanted. It couldn't be taste better than having to Brian Kelly. So glad he got his comeuppance, by the way. And incidentally, Toby Purple is right. Caleb Banks had a hell of a night. He was one of the front 4 that played really well. So, yeah. So, all right. So we got standing by here in the orange and blue room, Carlton Reese, fine writer. We're going to bring him aboard here in a second. I want to try to frame this if I can. I don't know that I can get my arms around the playoff thing. It's got me confused. It didn't turn out like I thought it might. Instead of rewarding the tough schedules right now this week, and it might correct itself, it seems like the powder puff schedules are getting rewarded. And and I know that there's some of those teams in that top 12, 6 or 7 of them might not win a game in the SEC. And they're ranked ahead of them. It's not the best 12 teams by far. It's the highest rank. And we could wind up with a conference champion in the ACC finishing 20th in the country and making the playoffs, cause the conference champions get a berth. So it's kind of funky. There's things to be done there as well. But I want you to think about this. I want you to tell me how you feel about this final 12 they've got, where you think it might wind up. What if Indiana does get there? I'd be really shocked, but hey, I've been wrong before. How real is Oregon, etc.? How much better is Alabama than, 8 of those teams weren't there? So we'll see. So you take that for a second while I do this spot. We'll go get our friend Carlton. We'll get your opinion to move the show along tonight on the program. On Saturday, it's the Gators in the Swamp at noon. Can't wait for that. All right, so I want to thank our special sponsors tonight. One of them is our good friends at Meldon Law. They're on top of their game, and they want you to be on top of yours. As a Gator fan and as someone who needs legal help, I can tell you that I've been seeking some lately. I got tremendous service from them as a client. They got me somebody who was right on the money for my lawsuit pending, and I think I'm going to win it. Can't talk about it much, but got the good help. You want the good people. You got to go get the right people. And Meldon Law knows that. Meanwhile, Jeffrey's a huge fan. They have a great giveaway over there on their website, on their Facebook page. If you need tickets to gymnastics, basketball, whatever, they're giving away all the time. So go to Facebook and look for the Meldon Law. And remember, they don't back down either. Let's go over here and see if our friend Carlton Reese has been writing some really good stuff lately. If you're not reading Carlton, you're missing out. He's really good at this kind of stuff. Say good evening to Ben there, Carlton.
I could listen to Ben all night. He gets me pumped up.
Appreciate it, man. Just doing my part, trying to rep Orange and Blue Bloods with old buddy Martin. You know how it goes.
That's what they call him, Pastor Ben's what they call him around here. Pastor Ben. He gonna pass a hat later tonight. Just stand by. He got that hat. You think he got hats for decoration? No. See, that's
Oh,
Ben.
listen, I'll pass the hat, but I want that. I want that Steve Spurrier. Like I want him to, bless me with that type of money tonight.
Yeah, spur your money. Exactly right. All right, guys, let's gather around the campfire here. Talk a little ball. Here we are in, I don't know what week this is. I guess it's week 10, 11, 12, something, whatever it is. It's Florida's 11th game. So for us this week, week 12 or 13. But here's what we got. I don't have to read out the teams. You know who they are. It's more about what you get by reading the feeling you get. And if you think this is working, I thought it'd be really great. I was a big component of it. I think it's going to be absolutely fascinating to see how it turns out. But I don't know if they got it right or not. Carlton, you've been known to be critical of a time or two of things. That gets your take. Thing is. Then let's get Mr. Positive Ben Troupe. See, what do you think? What about this system as we know it right now?
Well, I think they want people to pay too much attention to what's going on now. I mean, this is kind of like Thursday of a PGA Tour event. That's where it's things really don't matter until Sunday. Moving day is Saturday, and Sunday's when the tournaments are won. That's how I look at this playoff. All the selections and the weeks leading up to the championship games, it's all just to create a buzz and a show. So I'm not paying too much attention to it. The 12 we see up there now, it's not going to look that way come playoff time. I'm not saying we're going to be happy with what it's going to look like in the end, but it's still a wait and see. I'm not making a judgment based on what I see right now.
All right. That's fair enough. And it does change, if not by the day, certainly by the week. Ben, it seems like it's different every week. How does it look to you right now? Are you disappointed? Are you happy? Are you afraid of what might happen?
No, I'm not disappointed. I mean, the college football playoff rankings is about as relevant right now as preseason rankings. You got top 10 matchups in week 1 in college football because of, who you are and what you are. But there are going to be some teams that's going to realize real quick. I go back to when Baylor and TSU got left out. There are going to be some teams that don't got that national appeal. Now, right now, everything is all good because ain't nothing been finalized. Until these conference championship games happen, that's when you really gonna see some chaos. Because I'm telling you, teams like Alabama, they just sitting back with their feet up because they saying, "Look, we hope we don't go to Atlanta." Because you think they're gonna keep teams like Alabama out now. Now it used to be the 5th and the 6th team were deserving. Who's number 5? Now it's who was number 13? Who was number 14? Who's getting the first round bye? But college football, I will say this about these rankings, man. They smart, man. They know how to create buzz. We be sitting there watching like, oh, my God, they got so-and-so at number 11, and we still got two games left in the season. The only team that should be worried about where they are is Notre Dame because if they ain't in the top 12, they're not getting in because they ain't got no conference championship game. But other than that, man, Boise State right now is getting a bye. Absolutely not. That's not going to – when the final rankings come out, we'll see. But there's no such thing as getting it right. You got imperfect people in that room doing rankings. And I think they should treat those playoff committee – they should treat them like jurors. You should tell us why you put them there and who you are. But they don't tell us. They'll just put people in slots and see what happens. But, yeah, right now it's just week 10. We still got week 11, and we got rivalry week, and then we got the conference championship games. And then – I'm looking forward to all hell breaking loose. I really, really am. I hope it is nuts. I hope people going crazy. But, hey, man, it is. They're doing their best trying to make it fair across the board. But you can't make it fair when you're going to have 4 and 5 teams out of one conference particularly getting in. But we'll see. But I do like the chaos right now. Can't lie about that.
Well, some of the people, pretty prominent people in the media are charging the committees not watching the games. Carlson,
they're not.
Yeah.
You remember when Zach Wilson was at BYU? I think it's in 2020. They needed somebody to play, go up to Coastal Carolina, and they lose, and they didn't move in rankings. They didn't even move, which lets you know people ain't watching all these games, especially on the East Coast. Did you watch the Colorado game? What time do they play? No, they're not. But they in that room, and like I said, it's going to be a lot of familiar faces at the top, no matter what happens. And I'm anxious to see. I mean, I love our Gator fans saying things like, we win the last 2 games, we're going to get consideration to get in. No. They ain't gonna put us in, but I will take these last 2 wins of the season. I will take that. I don't care how that. We better be Florida State, but I would definitely look forward to beating Ole Miss this weekend.
Carlton, are they watching the games?
I've been trying to watch them. I actually watched. I watched Indiana, and I thought they were.
Not you. I'm talking about the committee. Are they watching them?
Oh, I don't know. The way I look at it, the bottom line is this was supposed to set up to make sure that the best team wins the national championship. So instead of having 2, then they went to 4. So the more teams you give a chance, the better the odds are you're going to get the right champion. Well, there's 12 now, so the teams that are 14 and 15 are going to feel like they got the shaft. Well, honestly, they weren't the ones that were supposed to win a national championship.
Here's some news. Scott Carter just updated us on this. Some news. Are you there, Carlton? Carlton's dropping in and out, I think. Here's some news. As soon as Carlton reboots, gets back in. All right, Carlton, you're breaking up. We're going to probably log off and come back on.
All right.
Log off and come back up. I'll read this note from Scott Carter while we're doing it. It's pretty interesting. Updating the injury report. Most notable movement is the University of Florida O-lineman. We know about that, Kearney, Roderick Kearney, who's a backup. And he's listed as out. We knew that. Ole Miss removed several players from the probable list late last night, meaning that means they're going to play. Presley, Emma Milan, and Jackson Dart. Well, you knew they were going to play. There was no chance they would not play. Ben?
Mm-hmm.
They only got 3. They got 2 players out. Isaiah Hardup and Henry Parrish, and Logan Diggs is questionable. They got nobody hurt, so they're sitting. They're in high cotton. They say they're coming into this game in good shape. So we'll see.
I mean, yeah, that's what you want. I mean, but at this point, we kept talking about this. You counting healthy bodies toward the end of the season, and that's any college team. You counting healthy bodies. Florida's getting healthy. They're getting back healthy and different things. But hey, Jackson Dart, I mean, he's a very, very dangerous quarterback. Had a really, really good year in 2023. He's obviously having a good year this year in 2024. Ole Miss offense, I mean, surprise, surprise, Captain Obvious, they're really, really good. They're really, really good. And when they clicking, they hard to stop. But Florida knows this. I mean, they're going to have a plan. These injury reports get on my nerves because I've never seen so many players questionable till game time in my life. It used to be just a quarterback. Now, I mean, the backup kicker, man, we'll let you know. So we'll see. Hopefully, we'll let you know on game time. But yeah, Ole Miss is a very, very talented football team. Surprise, surprise. Lane Kiffin, he's gotten all politically correct on me all of a sudden. No more fun, Lane Kiffin. Just everything, because everything's on the line. But Florida can play loose. And at 12 o'clock games, how many night games Florida had this year? What 3 or 4? They've had a bunch of night games. So there's probably just
keep track of that. How many?
I don't know. That 3 sounds good to me.
Yeah. They've had a bunch of them. So at least they're giving us the 12 o'clock kickoff so we can halfway, at least for y'all. I don't know how y'all do. When Florida plays at night, I'm stressed all day. I'm like, come on, man. Can we just get this game going so I can try
you got to have time for the fans to get their liquid courage down to make it more electric, Ben.
Yeah, you're right. I'm just saying it's just, I'm a Georgia boy. I live up here and I live back in the state of Georgia now. So, I got these Georgia fans looking at me all funny. They thinking, well, Ben, you can't really talk trash now. Who? I'm talking trash to y'all. Before I take my last breath, I mean, I'm gonna have to decide what you want to say. I want to say I love my family. Bump them dogs. You know what I'm saying? Well, I ain't worried about them. Forget them.
Well, you already did your part on that.
Hey,
your career.
But these dog fans, they think they're supposed to win the national championship every year now. And when they lose, there's a conspiracy. The refs were against them. But We'll get it next year though. Kirby Smart know what it is. 14, you beat us by 14 with a third string QB. We coming for you, Kirby. Coming for you in 2025. He knows.
Yeah. I love it when things happen like they did on Saturday, when you get that little tinkle going. And you saw some Gator fans coming out of the seats and chairs. I was a little surprised, really, to be honest with you, that they didn't swarm the swamp as Coach Spurrier had asked, but they kept putting those imposing signs up on the billboards on the threat of being arrested and fined, whatever. We're Gator fans. We're better than that. Well, okay. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't, whatever it may be. But I love the idea and the concept behind it because it did, and Billy said this, Billy did say that it impacted the players. They knew about it, and they appreciated it. More of an act of loyalty by Spurrier than anything else, trying to do his 2 cents worth. But then Steve was down there, and not anybody joined him. But it really was a terrific night, and I can't say enough about. I mean, I don't know, the defense and the 2 freshmen. These guys are freshmen. Ball's a freshman, 6'2", 235-pound, runs like a deer, who'll run over you. And then you got DJ Lagway. Arguably right now, he's tagged to be the best coach, the best quarterback in the country next year. And, and they're starting to get some – look, do you see the flips over the weekend? I mean, my guys, 2 or 3 FSU guys, a quarterback, Jones from FSU, people are starting to notice, and DJ's saying he's getting calls from people who want to come play with him.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, even Jamie French, the Texas wide receiver, they asked him, why would you consider Florida? He said, DJ Lagway. One word, DJ Lagway. And he also mentioned, the coaches are coming back next year, so that's something to think about, which tells you that there's been a lot of negative recruiting against Florida. And now that's starting to stop, and these other recruits are believing it. And the ones that kind of didn't consider Florida, now they're looking at, well, the coaching staff's going to come back, so they're not lying to me. And DJ Lagway looks everything that we've been told he would be, and I would love to play with that guy. Now, I'm not saying Jamie French is going to flip to Florida. He could. The fact that there's even
he's leaning now. He's leaning. He's going to come for a visit, right?
Well, he was at the Swamp Saturday night.
Oh, yeah, that's right. There's another guy coming for a visit he didn't have. Yeah, true.
I'm not sure, but Solomon Thomas is one that I think is a big offensive lineman who's committed to FSU. That he would be the big one. He's probably the most likely one of those 5 stars to flip, I would think. But again, I don't really follow recruiting that hard. But the LSU game Saturday night was maybe the one time in my life that got me jazzed about looking and see what recruits were doing. That just shows you how special that game was and how special DJ and Jaden were.
Yeah. So, all right. So I can't seem to get over the hump here of this game. I think Mississippi is the best balanced team in the league. They got the best passer probably in Jackson Dart, probably. Although the guy number 2 from Florida is going to be right there with him at some point. Their defense is better than I thought. They're getting better. They're healthy. Lane is a terrific play caller. I wrote a piece about Kiffin tonight, Lane tonight. Remember, a couple of weeks ago, he was going to be looking to come here to coach his team. Now he's coming here to try to beat them to get to that next level. And he's playing a different team than he thought he was going to be playing. I don't know about what you think about Lane Kiffin. I did a think piece on him today. You could call him a lot of names. Remember, this guy got fired on the tarmac. On the tarmac, right? Humiliated by Nick Saban. He's only 57, and look at his resume. Do you realize where all he's coached? When you put it all together and read it, it's just amazing. And right now, he could be as good a coach as there is out there. Most people think if you're going to hire a replacement for Billy, if you were, that he's the favorite. He gets big money. I would say he's cleaned up his act. He's ready now for the next assignment. He comes to the swamp. What will he see? What will he feel? What will he hear? What's it going to be like for him, Ben?
I hope. I think it's going to be tough. And I think the thing about Lane Kiffin, he is a good coach. He does have a good team, right? I mean, Princely, obviously leave Florida, go over there. He's doing big things, but they're 8-2, right? They're 8-2. They lost to LSU, lost to Kentucky, but these scores, 29, 26.
They beat Georgia. Don't forget.
They did beat Georgia, right? They did beat Georgia. All right. I think the thing about it is week to week, every team is different. Every single team, including Florida, including Ole Miss. Ole Miss is the type of team where they play real similar to as far as like how Florida does. They want to have a high-powered offense. They want to feed off that defense, right? When Ole Miss beat Georgia, that defense had a lot to do with it. That defense was all over the field, right? But I just think that every team is different at home, including Florida. Florida's different at home. And here's the thing about Florida. All the pressure's on the other team. Florida's 5-5, right? They're not even supposed to be in a position to even make a bowl game this year. Had the hardest schedule in the country. Lane Kiffin is speaking from a place of caution because he knows the team that Florida just beat, right? The team that Florida just beat them, right? They're like, they beat LSU? Yeah. LSU that beat us? Yeah, and beat them handsomely. What? You see what I'm saying? So I think, wait a minute. What's the other team that beat them? Kentucky. Wait a minute, Florida beat Kentucky? Yep. And they beat them handsomely at home. We got to go up there. Yep. That's what he's looking at. He's looking at the fact that the two teams that beat them, we beat them at home. And it wasn't no fluke. Now I get it. Ole Miss ain't got nothing to do with those two losses. Florida had to do those two losses, but I just think that the DJ Lagway effect is real. It is, and I just like the fact that we got DJ Lagway. They got Jackson Dart. I get it, but they ain't world beaters. Ole Miss when they winning and beating teams, Georgia was an impressive win, but they ain't blowing teams out, right? When they beating them, but they are 8-2. Lane Kiffin trying to get to that 9th win, well, maybe he can get his 9th win against Mississippi State. He don't got to get his 9th win on Saturday. We trying to dash his hopes, and I think we got good a shot as any because, like I said, no matter what, nobody on the planet nationally thought Florida was going to do what they did against LSU. Nobody. So
yeah, look, I got to feel sorry for Brian Kelly. Not really. Okay. That's what happened today. Their 5-star quarterback they had, Underwood, flipped to Michigan. The people down in the bayou are, Loren, good evening to you. They're not happy right now.
No, not at all. And I think that, when you look at Brian Kelly, a lot of people came out of that Florida game kind of trying to analyze maybe his relationship with his players on the sideline. There was a blow up between him and Kyron Lacey, and then they kind of went back and looked at some clips and showed that on a loop where there were other instances where he and Lacey didn't seem to see eye to eye, things like that. And I think that, Bryce Underwood may have saw that and maybe said, hey, I'm going to go up here with Sharon Moore and, something that's a little bit more stable in the Michigan Wolverines, but definitely a big blow because they say Bryce Underwood is one of those can't miss prospects. So, yeah, I think it's just, at one point LSU was riding high and then it's almost like that Texas A&M loss and everything, the bottom just fell out. So, they're, the Gators kind of put them in a free fall, and not good at all.
Speaking of free falls, our friend at Central Michigan took one. Jim McElwain called to the day, hung up his whistle to think he was at one time Nick Saban's offensive coordinator, and he guess he got beat he beat Central Michigan, he beat Western Michigan, right? Go ahead, you know the story, Carlton.
Yeah, well, what I remember about McElwain, I remember when they hired him in the offseason, I wrote a college football preview for some magazine, I remember, and I described him as the guy in the room that you might think was a Sears maintenance man or something like that. He didn't seem to inspire a lot of confidence. But he came in as the quarterback whisperer because Florida had a line of troubles with quarterbacks before so they hired him based on that okay, we're going to have this great quarterback, and it looked like Will Grier was going to be that guy. They had the huge win over third-ranked Ole Miss, where they blew them out, and then they won at Missouri. They're undefeated, and then the week of the LSU game, he's suspended for a year, and that was pretty much it for McElwain. His teams were never very good. They had good records. They were 10-1 at one point in that year, and then laid an egg against Florida State and then Alabama in the SEC championship game, and then who was it? Michigan. They got blown out in all three of those games, and I don't think anyone was ever really confident in his teams, even when they were winning. And then of course when he made the about it was time to go. I think it was unanimous on that.
Hey, Loren, he said he could take his dog to play quarterback and be successful. What happened to that deal?
Yeah, I mean, I remember that. He said he could take his dog Clarabelle and she could play quarterback in his offense. I mean, I don't know about that. That's in this league. I mean, this league has been one of the top leagues in the country for over 30 years. I mean, that was I think sometimes you can get to the University of Florida and feel like, and you be on third base and you forget that, you didn't hit a triple or whatever Franz likes to say, end up on third base and didn't hit a triple.
I mean, they quoted it right because he quoted it from me. Wake up on third base and think you hit a triple.
There you go. Wake up on third base and think you hit a triple, but you actually, and so I think sometimes you get to Florida and you don't understand, and even Billy Napier said it, you don't understand the level of pressure the fan base can put on you. And I think McElwain, he was insulated by some really good players at Alabama, as well as arguably the best coach in the history of college football, and just a different type of situation. And yeah, I mean, I think it was, I'm happy for him. He seems like a pretty good dude, I guess, from what I know. And if he wants to retire, I mean, hopefully he can win these next two games. He kind of announced it after a win, which is always nice to do. But, I mean, the biggest thing for me when he was here, which was, I think, the most disconcerting for me, was the fact that guys were hiring outside trainers to train themselves because they didn't feel like the strength coach was getting them what they needed to be successful. And I mean, that, for a school like Florida, even when they were still having the weight room in the gym, I mean, in the stadium, I mean, it's the University of Florida, and I mean, you can get after it with a universal unit if you doing it right. So the fact that guys were hiring outside people and going to these training places and different things because they felt like they couldn't get.
They went there, yeah.
Was that well? And so, yeah. So
like it is.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I don't know, Ben. I think basically we have an epidemic in Florida of coaches quitting on their teams, and certainly he wanted out. Those fake threats on his life. We saw Dan just mail it in. There's something about that job that just takes your soul from you. People they want out. I don't know. They can't take it. You got to be a hard ass to be a coach at Florida, which Spurrier and Urban were, and that's why they won.
Well, you got to be built for it. I mean, I think the thing about McElwain is, I mean, his exit at Florida was one of the weirdest in college football history. It's just weird. It just really, really was. I mean, because listen, everybody knows that coaching at Florida is different. Right? You want the money, but what comes with it is different. And how he exited. I mean, unfortunately, I was working that Florida-Georgia game. We down 21-0 in the first quarter, and McElwain ain't making things better with the things he was saying. But no matter what, he still got another opportunity because he was the head coach of Florida. Like, people still gonna say, "Dude, you still was the head coach of Florida," and I do agree he had some good years, but ain't nobody gonna remember nobody for what they did good at the school. They're gonna remember, I mean, how did you leave? Why did you? They're gonna say, "Why did you leave?" And who knows what he gonna say when he says that. I do agree with Loren. I mean, listen, more power to him. He want to coached a lot of football, a lot of years. And I don't care what McElwain say, I ain't pocket checking him, but them checks in the mail from Florida, they look good. They whatever they are, they still look good, But I just think that, sometimes when I think about Coach Spurrier and Urban Meyer and the guys that came in between and after, sometimes, it ain't fair to them because, Ron Zook came after Spurrier. How you gonna live up to that? You can't. Then Urban Meyer kind of came in, but Urban Meyer was also a head coach, going to be another head coach. Ron Zook, he was a coordinator in the National Football League of special teams and came back to be the head coach. And then you talk about Muschamp, you talk about McElwain, talk about Mullen, and you talk about Billy Napier. Being a head coach of Florida is tough. It is, and because I always say this about Florida, it's different in most places. There are teams that have been in college football 100 years. They ain't never won a national championship. And they still got great coaches in their tenure. At least in Florida, we've seen, when we at our best. Now, there's been some stuff in between, a lot of few and far between, as far as like success goes. But sometimes, man, it's just the plays. It really, really is. And I just say this, and I ain't here to poke the bear, I ain't here to poke no fun. But if Florida went undefeated in 2023 and there was 1-8 right now, could you imagine what would be going on in Gainesville? I'm just, could you imagine that? So when people say, "Hey, man,
who did that?"
No. Listen.
Who was that?
I'm just saying, because, buddy, we all have this. We all say this, man. How bad can it get? And we can say, man, Florida has some rough patches.
Yeah.
Shoot, they burning the soil over there in Tallahassee like it's the muck city. Like, shoot, I'm just saying it's bad. So I will say when it come to McElwain, hey man, congratulations on retirement. But the funniest thing about his profiles was they say he got the job at Central Michigan because of his high profile offenses at Florida. I'm like, what? He got it from what? Man, stop playing. Stop the nonsense.
Yeah. What we're gonna do, guys? I'm gonna take a time out to talk about our friends at Titan MRI. When we come back, I want to get the huddle together here. I want you to take a little shot of that truth serum, not the Kool-Aid, truth serum. Come back and tell me full on. You're all smart football guys, and you're not afraid to say it like it is. Where does this thing go from here? Some people say it's just one win. Wasn't one win to me. It changed a lot more than that. But anyway, what's the best case and what's the ceiling and what's the floor? Each of you going to get 30 seconds on each. Ceiling and the floor, what could it be and what it's likely to be? We'll come back and talk with Ben Troupe, Carlton Reese, and Loren Meadows right here on the Buddy Martin Show. Stay tuned while I tell you about my friends at TitanMRI.com. You don't always know you're going to have an MRI. Nobody likes to do it. Sometimes you got to go, especially if you have an injury, and you're not always prepared for it when you have it. You got to take a day off from work. Maybe your insurance is expired. You hate getting in that little tube and going down in there and having that music play. Not pleasant. Well, the folks at Titan MRI have done a really good job of changing those things for you. And if you have to go, you got to call tomorrow. Your doctor says you got to have an MRI. If you're in the Ocala, Gainesville area, I highly recommend you check out TitanMRI.com because they address all of those issues. One, they can give you an appointment off hours, weekends, or nights, so it won't mess up your work schedule. Two, if you don't have insurance, maybe you're down on your insurance, bring jobs, they can handle you with credit card and card and cash or whatever you need to do that. Be glad to take it or check, and they're not going to kill you with it. And then, of course, the last thing is they are aware of the fact that you might be a little claustrophobic. Maybe you're a bigger guy like Ben or Loren, not me, and get in that thing and say, I don't like it. Well, they're aware of that too, the claustrophobia. So check them out. They want to take care of you and do it your way, TitanMRI.com. Ceiling, floor. How good can it be? How bad can it be? And what will it be? Ben Troupe.
Ooh, you just talking about this season or next season?
I mean, right now, this Gators right now, where they stand as of winning this game, they changing at least the trajectory. Then turn the corner maybe. They change the trajectory. Now, what does that mean? Where's that rocket going? Or is it going to crash or go up? Or does it feel like it's something that's got momentum? Give me a ceiling and floor, each of you. Go, Ben.
Ceiling. Oh man. They go 3-0. They end up 8-5, including the bowl game. Floor. I'll say 7-6. I say they lose to Ole Miss. They win against Florida State. They win in the bowl game. But I think that, I think that what LSU proved is, to me, when it comes to the fans or the players itself, the DJ Lagway effect is real. And like I said, they're week by week. So I say 8. I mean, what I say, 8-5 is the ceiling. I say, but I say 7-6 is the floor, which is still, a really, really good season when you talk about the schedule that they had.
Who wants to go next?
Go ahead, Carlton.
Okay. I agree with the ceiling is winning them all out, which they can do. The floor, to me, is losing every one of them, though. I still think FSU could be a losable game, just being a rivalry game, and FSU puts the whole season behind them, and this is their bowl game, so to speak, and everything kind of is right mentally with them if they beat Florida. That's how big this game is for them, and it's a night game in Tallahassee. I can't stand that erector set in the evening, and so I'm always afraid of that. But that's the floor. I think realistically, what happens is Florida loses to Ole Miss, beats Florida State, and probably wins a bowl game, and then in the offseason.
Which bowl game? Let's pick us a bowl game. Come on.
I don't even know how it works anymore, buddy.
Bowl. Come on, it's a bowl.
Okay, they're gonna play Vandy in the bowl game.
Huh?
They're gonna play Vandy in the bowl game.
You like that play?
I heard somebody say that. I thought that was intriguing. But what they might end up playing. Indiana's gonna lose out, and they'll play Indiana in a bowl game.
I don't think they'll play a team that's gonna win 9 or 10 games.
No.
So leave, but maybe they will.
No, But it's a game that is a losable game. But I think Florida wins against a decent team in the bowl game, and then they're really going to be the talk of college football in the offseason heading into 2025, which means Napier better get it done in 2025.
Yeah. I don't even like these kind of bowl games, but it's kind of fun to match them up now and say, how about Florida Tulane in the Birmingham Bowl or something like that, Loren?
Yeah, I mean, that could be the thing. I've heard Gasparilla Bowl against USF. So wouldn't that be something? So
that's what they always want to do in Tampa.
Yeah.
I'd like to play Army. The Army
Yeah.
might get a better bowl.
Yeah, could be.
That sounds painful.
Right. Well, I'm gonna say obviously ceiling is 8-5, win out, get a bowl game. I think that would put them maybe even in the Gator Bowl. I know the Gator Bowl would love to have Florida there for that. So 8-5, and then the floor would be 6-7. I think they could lose Saturday. I don't think they lose to Florida State at all. I think Florida State is it just not. I don't think they're equipped if Florida goes in there as healthy as they are now. I don't think they're equipped to beat Florida. And then, the bowl loss could be the fact that I think that, there could be some opt-outs, some guys deciding they don't want to play in a bowl game with Florida being 6-6, and they kind of limp into the bowl game and, lose to whoever it is. Obviously, heaven forbid it be USF. That'd be another chink in the armor for Napier. But if they go 8-5, like Carlton said, they'd be the talk of the off season for sure, particularly in the SEC with what they have coming back. But but the floor is 6-7, ceiling is obviously 8-5, and probably go to the Gator Bowl and maybe then play IU maybe. I don't know.
Could be. I like that. I tell you what I like that. First of all, even if they're 6-7, they've had a pretty good year. They got to a bowl game, which didn't look like they would even do that. They got the 20 extra practices, which is good. You're giving your young quarterback, a lot more savvy. And I think the other thing is if they do, I don't think they'll beat Ole Miss, but if they do beat Ole Miss, there's a pretty good mark for you right there, knocking them out, And then you're going to go to FSU in Tallahassee and beat them on Saturday night. And then you get to go to a bowl game and play Army in the Gator Bowl or whatever. And your young quarterback lights it up. And suddenly the whole country is talking about DJ Lagway and the Florida Gators and this great turnaround story, like you said. So it has a tremendous upside potential. The seeding could be really, really good. And Wally Gator says, buddy, 6-7.
I agree.
Wally, you guys are now telling me that. Where were you 3 weeks ago? Here's the difference. When you've been out on the desert and you ain't had nothing to drink for a week, and somebody comes by with a canteen and gives you a swig of water, you say, ain't nothing, that's just a swig of water. Tastes pretty damn good, don't it? And when you're thirsty like that. And so it is a significant thing because this one thing changed the trajectory of this program. And here's what you got to remember. Remember, the floor was firing Billy, losing DJ, losing the class, and the whole thing falling apart and setting them back by 10 years. That's the floor. Now you're talking something serious. So for that reason, I've said this, and I mean it, and I've said it over and over again. That win was one of the 10 most important. I didn't say best. Carlton, we talked about it last night. I didn't say most important wins, one of the 10 most in Florida's football program history. If, in fact, they turn it around and Billy gets it going, they become a competitive team. That win was a lot more than just beating LSU, guys.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it was the energy that they played with, the way they played, the 7 sacks. I mean, I never thought they would win that game without getting a turnover. And the way they were able to kind of manhandle LSU at times and things like that. You even saw some great, everybody forgets, but even the 2 kicks by Trey Smack, big time kicks and things like that. So yeah, I think it definitely is on the list of different wins. And you look obviously for the Billy Napier era to get off the LSU snide, for a lot of different reasons, obviously where he came from and different things like that. I think it was big, and it set the tone for people to think, hey, Saturday's winnable. I'm like you, I'm not necessarily sure they do win, but I think it continues to validate the fact that the vote of confidence that Billy Napier received, it's been about 2 weeks ago now, was warranted because the team has continued to play for him and believes in what he's doing. And then obviously I think they were able to change their messaging from a recruiting standpoint. And then you saw the 3 fairly nice commitments that they got this past week. So, I think it was just with all those things, it was it was a big win.
Yeah. I guess it's a bunch of sunshine pumpers around here. I find it really interesting, though, that
just telling the truth, man. It ain't about sunshine pumping. It's knowing how football teams develop, and
I'm just saying
that's where you go.
That's okay. They can call it what they want to. Bottom line is that this team 3 weeks ago was expecting Lane Kiffin to come in here as their next coach. Now they're trying to knock him out of the playoffs. That's how things have changed, Ben and Carlton, in 3 weeks. So something has changed.
Yeah, I think. Oh, go ahead.
That's what winning does, right? Winning is the cologne that cures all stink. It don't take but one. The same people that was off the bandwagon right, is right back on. And I just think that, it is a very, very important win because he exercised some demons. As you mentioned, Loren, being from Louisiana, coaching in Louisiana, saying, hey, man, he's a small-time coach. He can't beat LSU. Beat him. And they did it convincingly. And I think you make a great point too, buddy. The lifeblood of every college football program is recruiting. And the easiest way to recruit is the product on the field is selling. And it's sold, and they got it done. So shout out to them boys.
A lot of issues in recruitment are coming to you, Carlson.
Yeah, well, I don't think you're overstating the importance of the LSU game, but it's going to be something that we look back on. If Florida becomes this juggernaut, under Napier next year, the next 2 years, I think then you look back at this LSU game and say, yeah, that was a kind of a turning point. That was a crossroads for the pro, almost like the game at Alabama in 1990 when Spurrier took the team on the road there and they won. That's when they kind of started believing, hey, we could be the real deal. I think even Spurrier to this day points at that game that was a turning point. Maybe Napier will point to this LSU game, or fans will. If Florida, if they keep this momentum up and they become that juggernaut, I think definitely you point back at this LSU game was my turning point for them.
Hey, great stuff, guys. Thanks a lot. Great job. Loren, good to talk to you again. Carlson, I'll see you in the next piece in the magazine. Don't forget, and Loren will be writing this weekend on the game, covering it, doing his analysis, and Ben Troupe's doing his thing on 84 Reasons. So thank you all for a great job. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Peace. See you Saturday.
All right, guys.
All right, see you guys.
All right, folks. That's going to wrap it up for another night here on the Buddy Martin Show. And we thank you for listening and watching. For our guests, appreciate it. We got some good ones. And, of course, Ben and Carlton now recently has been on a lot. Condolences to Franz. He has the night off. His stepfather died. He's making final arrangements. And RIP to Dom Reynolds again. And may the Lord be with Carlita and their family during this difficult time. Thank you for Carlton and for Ben and for Loren as well. I want to remind you folks about a good bunch of people. As a matter of fact, I will expand this one because Joe Sorrentino, one of the owners of Renstar, has a son named Joey Sorrentino, and Joey played defensive back for Urban Meyer 4 years. Joey is now a very respectable dentist in Ocala. A guy named Brendan went to see him today. He was so impressed with the office he's got and the way he handles himself. And Joey, congratulations for all your great success you had now in dentistry, and look forward to reading more about your great success there with your firm. So thank you for all your services and help. Thank you, folks. Thank you for the other folks at Renstar who've been supporting us for a long time. We're very, very grateful for the fact that they've supported this show from the get-go, and we're so happy that they do. Makes it possible for us to get things done we couldn't do without our folks at Renstar. And by the way, you have to also know about Renstar and about what they do because they need your help. They're in the business of information, trying to get more for you so they can do a better job as they prepare and do these programs for us to get the right kind of prescriptions. And they do that through these clinical trials. And I encourage you to look into this. Go to Renstar.net and see if you can qualify. It's not that difficult. They have different ones of different kinds all the time that you can take part in. It's not painful. You can go down. You can be compensated for your time of travel. You take part in these studies, and then the information and data is used to get a better fix on the health of our community. And you've helped yourself. You've helped Renstar. You've helped the people in the community. So, ciao. Renstar Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. Well, Ole Miss this weekend. Lane Kiffin, some star column on GatorBait. Enjoy it. Be back at you this weekend, folks. Have a good one.